So to answer this question, yes, people have to want to reduce their drinking, even if they're using naltrexone and the Sinclair method. This protocol is extremely powerful because when you take naltrexone before drinking, it's blocking the reward your brain experiences when you drink. And like with anything in human nature, if it's not as rewarding, we're going to want to do it less often. Now, this protocol takes time to work. It's not an instant fix, but many people will start to notice that their desire for alcohol and their interest for alcohol is just kind of fading into the background. But to your point with your husband, yes, at the end of the day, with any change we're going to make in life, whether it's weight loss or habit change or drinking less alcohol or eating less sugar, we're going to want to have to do this change for ourselves. And we're going to have to really want to understand why we want to change our relationship with alcohol. Inside of our program, one of our first course videos that we have is one that encourages people to define their why for why they are going on this treatment, because it's truly fundamental to success. If we don't understand why we're doing something, there's not going to be any anchor to keep us committed, because this is a long-term treatment protocol. It needs time to work, and there's more to it than just taking the pill before you drink. One of our members was just talking to me about this, where they were on naltrexone for a year and they were only taking the pill, and they saw a little bit of changes, but they weren't really seeing enough progress, and they almost gave up on it. And then they recognized, oh, it's more than just taking a pill. I've got to engage this protocol with habit changes, lifestyle changes, rethinking my identity and the type of relationship with alcohol that I want to have. So it's definitely much more than just taking a pill. Yes, the person has to want that change for themselves. Oftentimes they can also get there after they've started on the medication. Once it starts working and it starts chipping away at the craving and the desire for alcohol, maybe somebody can get there and really commit to it. But also what can happen is people can end up drinking through the naltrexone. So even if they're following the protocol correctly, they will end up kind of ignoring the off switch that the medication provides, and they can drink past it and still get drunk. This protocol is a long-term treatment protocol. It needs time to work. It also needs consistency. People need to be totally compliant with taking the medication, and they also need to be perseverant. Like when people join our program, we typically tell them to give it a year, just so they have realistic expectations of how long it could take. Some people will reach their goals more quickly. Others will even take longer than that. So just to be aware of that. But yeah, back to your original question. Yes, at the end of the day, somebody really does have to want this for themselves. And if they're kind of teeter-tottering along that, maybe they're going on this treatment because their family member wants them to, they're going to struggle with complying with taking the medication correctly, and that's golden rule. That is absolutely fundamental to success with the protocol. Or like I mentioned, they can drink through the medication. So even if they're compliant, they can kind of ignore the off switch that the medication provides. And so with your husband, if he's still going to that familiar environment that's so linked to his drinking habits and behaviors, even if he's being totally compliant with the protocol and taking naltrexone correctly, the medication is only going to get him so far. If we're in an environment that's promoting heavy drinking, we can easily drink through the medication in that environment. So I would wonder, is he being totally compliant? Does he really want to change his drinking habits, or is he, satisfied with where they're at? Sometimes people go on the naltrexone and their drinking reduces a bit and it makes them feel better about their relationship with alcohol. So I don't know what type of changes he has seen, but at the end of the day, if he's still surrounding himself with this environment, it's probably very linked to his identity. Oftentimes when we've been drinking for years or decades, it becomes a part of our identity. Like, I don't know who I would be if I didn't go to the pub every night. It's probably a part of his social circle and really who he is. And so that's a really big change for people to make. And even with naltrexone and the Sinclair method, it's still a pretty significant lifestyle change. So I don't know how much you guys talk about this. I know that these sometimes can be touchy subjects to broach, but I'd be curious if has he been totally compliant with the medication, and what type of changes has he seen in his drinking, and really understanding, does he want to make this change for himself? Is he ready to commit to what life would look like if he had a more, balanced relationship with alcohol, where going to the pub daily was not a part of his life? Maybe he went once or twice a week, something like that. And so Again, I know these are difficult topics to talk about, but I would be curious to hear more if you wanted to share. And I'm so sorry for what you're going through as well. I'm sure it's really difficult to have a loved one who has been stuck in this cycle. One last thing I will say is that try to keep heart and keep hope also, because I've seen people who go on naltrexone and the medication almost works too well for them. And they're like, whoa, I'm not ready for that change yet. So even if your husband is at a place today where he doesn't feel like he's ready to change his drinking habits yet, it doesn't mean that that couldn't happen in 3 months, 6 months, or a year from now. Sometimes people just need time to kind of get to that place where they feel ready to change. So if you or a loved one wants support on the Sinclair Method, our program is a private online program that really guides people through this step by step as long as it takes. There's no pressure to be abstinent or to push yourself further along than you're ready to go. It's a very gentle yet very supportive program that can help people. So you can learn more about it with the link in our profile. Also, I have a lot of other videos here as well.